I lost everything, and I swore I would never truly smile again. William Harris repeated this to himself every night, believing that happiness had died along with the past. But fate has a way of surprising us. Amidst the darkness that dominated his heart, an innocent smile, small, light, pure, was about to break his chains. It was a girl's laugh, so simple and luminous, that would remind the millionaire that life could still be beautiful, and that even a wounded heart could beat in peace again. William Harris's mansion was in Weston, just outside Boston. A huge, silent house, with marble hallways that echoed footsteps, as if the house itself wanted to remind itself that something was missing. Tall windows overlooking a perfectly manicured garden. Everything was impeccable. Everything was cold. William woke before the sun. It was 5:30 a.m. when his Swiss watch vibrated on his wrist. He sat on the edge of the bed, stared at the upside-down frame on the nightstand for a few seconds, and took a deep breath. In the closet, he selected his suit, as if putting on armor. Agenda was the first word of the day. Downstairs, the housekeeper, Mrs. Collins, waited with a tablet. "Good morning, Mr. Harris. 8 a.m. Board meeting. 10 a.m. Call with New York. 2 p.m. Vendor visit. 4 p.m. Signing." He raised his hand, cutting off the sentence. "No flowers in the hall. Allergies, and no people walking around the East Wing." The team moved silently, rehearsed. No one asked a question. No one dared break the ice of that routine. William drank coffee, looking out the window, a cup that almost always came back full. The gold lampshade reflected the outline of his serious face in the glass, the eyes that always seemed tired. "Mrs. Collins, the reports. I've already sent them to your email, sir." "No errors." "Yes, sir." In the car, a black SUV, the driver avoided conversation. William read charts, highlighted goals, and responded to emails with 3-word sentences: approve, redo, cancel. In the office, high up in a building in Back Bay, everyone knew the rhythm. Half-open doors, short steps, hushed voices. "Would you like water or coffee?" the assistant asked uncertainly. "Silence," she replied, without looking up from her laptop. There was something no one saw, the tightness in his chest as he passed through the mansion hallway where a painting had been removed, leaving the wall a little brighter. Every now and then, late in the day, he would make his way back, stop there, and close his eyes for a second, as if touching a memory he didn't dare to feel. But in front of the others, he kept his mask on. "Rules exist for a reason," he repeated, almost like a shield. Cold, arrogant. That was how the staff described him. And outside, the world agreed. Across town, life began before sunrise for a different reason. Emily Parker lived with her daughter Lily in a small apartment in Dorchester. The kitchen had old tiles, a table with 2 chairs, the window fogged with tea steam. On the refrigerator, a small medicine box labeled with colorful ribbons. Beside it, a child's drawing, a sun with huge eyes and a red heart in the middle. "Mom, it hurts a little here today." Lily pointed at her chest with her finger, frowning. Emily smiled softly, hiding her fear. "It'll pass, my love. We'll take the medicine now, then choose a hair bow. Pink or yellow?" "Yellow. It goes with the sun." "So today is a sunny day," she replied, and kissed her daughter's forehead. Emily had been a single mother since Lily was born. She carried the house, the work shifts, and hope like someone carrying a world in their apron pocket. She put on her simple uniform, tied her hair in a bun, and checked the girl's backpack. A water bottle, a notebook, a toy with colorful rings. "Ready? Ready?" Lily raised her little hand for a high five. Their routine involved the subway station, the crowded bus, the cold wind that cut through the streets. On the way, Emily held her daughter's hand tightly, as if promising without saying that she would never let go. "Mom, is there a doctor's appointment today?" "No, It's school today, and Mum's going to work in a big house, okay? Big as a castle? Almost, she laughed. But we're not going to live there, okay? We'll just clean up and go back to our own place, like always. She'd heard stories about her new boss. Strict, doesn't smile, fires people for short shrift. Word was spreading through the agencies. But the salary was the difference between following Lily's treatment and running out of medication. I'll take it, she'd said in the interview, standing straight. Why work there, Emily? The woman at the agency asked. Because my daughter needs it, and I know how to work properly, she replied firmly, clutching her purse with both hands. At the school gate, Emily knelt down to Lily's level. If you get tired, talk to your aunt, okay? And remember to drink water. I remember. Will you be back soon? Emily took a deep breath. I'll be back. I always come back. Lily hugged her mother's neck, the scent of fruity shampoo lingering in her memory. I love you, Mom. I love you too. My sunshine. On her first day at the mansion, the iron gate opened unhurriedly. Emily gazed at the perfect garden, the fountains, the enormous windows. Her stomach tightened, she adjusted her shirt under her uniform and entered. In the service wing, the housekeeper explained the rules, pointing with her pen. Punctuality. No cell phones in the main hall. Don't talk to the master unnecessarily. Don't bring visitors. Don't wander around the east wing. Emily nodded. And I understand. He likes silence. I can work in silence, she replied politely. In the hallway, she passed William briefly. He passed quickly, his suit impeccable, his woodsy perfume heavy, and his gaze piercing without stopping. Good morning, sir, Emily ventured. William gave a slight nod, already turning the corner. Mrs. Collins whispered, Don't take it personally. It's just his way. Emily smiled slightly. No one is just one way. Throughout the morning, she cleaned the library, arranged the books by height, and straightened the edges of the rugs. In each room, she used the same care: damp cloth, straight strokes, dust-free corners. When she found a barely visible mark on the banister, she took a soft cloth and polished it until the chandelier's reflection shone again. Perfect, she murmured. During the break, he picked up his phone and looked at the photo of Lily with the yellow ribbon. His chest tightened. He remembered the hospital budget, the insurance papers, the electricity bill. He ran his thumb over the screen as if caressing it. It'll be okay, my love, he said softly, so no one could hear. In the afternoon, the mansion seemed even larger. The floor gleamed. The garden sang with greenery, but inside, Emily felt a slight chill, a deep longing for her daughter's voice. In the kitchen, as she was drying glasses, she heard footsteps approaching. William entered, grabbed a glass of water, and stood there staring into space as if the world had stopped. Emily looked away, discreetly, silently. At that moment, unbeknownst to her, their lives were taking their first steps toward each other on completely different paths. Emily turned off the faucet, took a deep breath, and returned to work. She already knew it wouldn't be easy, but she had a reason too strong to give up, and so she accepted the job, despite her boss's terrible reputation. After all, when love is the reason, courage always finds a way in. Emily's first days at the mansion were silent. She followed every rule to the letter, her steps light, her gaze lowered, always busy with a duster or bucket. William walked past her, as if she were part of the furniture, cold and distant. The most she heard was the report, or don't leave marks on the banister, never a good morning. That morning, the unexpected happened. Lily's school announced a last-minute recess. Emily held the notice in her hands, her eyes brimming with worry. Who would take care of her daughter? She had no relatives nearby, no trusted neighbors. She took a deep breath, took the little girl's hand, and decided, You're coming with me today, my love, but you'll be quiet, okay? I promise, Mommy, Lily replied, adjusting the yellow bow in her hair. When they arrived, Emily discreetly hid her in the utility area. She gave her a sketch pad and a toy with colourful rings. "Stay here, draw, and be quiet. I'll be nearby." "Okay, Mom." Lily smiled obediently. The day passed slowly. William was locked in his office, immersed in paperwork, contracts, and seemingly endless numbers. The air was heavy. He massaged his temples, his head throbbing as if it were about to explode. He stood up abruptly, opened the door, and walked through the halls with heavy strides. The silence of the mansion only amplified the noise within him. In the kitchen, he turned on the faucet, filled a glass, and raised it to his mouth. The cold water flowed quickly, but it didn't extinguish the fire burning inside. He braced his hands on the counter, leaned forward, breathing heavily. "Damn pain," he muttered through gritted teeth. It was then that he heard an unexpected sound, the tinkling of a toy falling to the floor. He raised his head slowly, frowning. There, in the kitchen doorway, stood Lily, small, fragile, wearing a simple dress and her hair tied back with a yellow bow. In her arms, she held the colourful toy, trying to fit the rings back onto the base. She looked at him and smiled. A smile so pure it seemed to light up the entire room. William froze. His heart, accustomed to beating in a cold, mechanical rhythm, stumbled. For a moment, the darkness suffocating him seemed to open a crack. He blinked, confused, as if unsure if this was real. "Hi," Lily said, with the innocence of someone unfamiliar with walls. "Want to play?" The girl's soft voice echoed in the kitchen like a breath of life. William placed his hand on his chest, trying to understand the knot that was unraveling inside him. His head, previously on fire, seemed to calm with that smile. Emily, realizing her daughter's absence, ran scared down the hallway, but she hadn't arrived yet. For a few seconds, William and Lily were alone, face to face, a broken man and a child who unknowingly held the key to restoring peace to a broken heart. Emily rounded the corner of the kitchen, barely breathing. Her heart pounded. "Lily," she whispered desperately, and then she saw the scene, her daughter standing in front of William, offering the toy with a wide smile. I'm sorry, Mr. Harris." Emily ran, scooping up the girl and placing her behind her like a shield. "I didn't. School went on recess and I had no one to leave her with. Nothing happened, I swear. She was quiet in the utility area. I just turned my back for a minute." William didn't answer right away. He still looked a little dazed, like someone waking from a dream. The glass of water trembled slightly in his fingers. "Is she your daughter?" he asked softly. "Yes, sir." "Lily." Emily tried to even out her breathing. "It was a mistake to bring her here without warning. I understand if you want to excuse me." In the hallway, hurried footsteps. The housekeeper appeared first, stiff. "What's going on here?" Her eyes fell on Lily. "Mr. Harris, I'm so sorry. I'll take care of this now." Right behind her, two employees whispered, undisguised, "It's over for her. Bringing a child to his house? Is she crazy?" Lily clutched the toy to her chest, confused. She looked from William to her mother, trying to decipher the heavy air that suddenly filled the kitchen. "Didn't I do anything wrong, Mommy?" she whispered, her eyes wide. "No, my love." Emily squeezed her little hand. "Mommy made a mistake. I'm sorry." "Rules are meant to be followed, Parker." The housekeeper's voice was sharp. "You know the rule book. No family allowed. Let's go to the office and formalize the—" "Enough," William said, without raising his voice. The entire hallway fell silent. He set his glass down on the counter and looked at Emily, then at Lily. His face still held weariness and confusion, but there was no hardness, just an old heaviness mixed with something new that no one there could name. "I own up to the mistake, sir," Emily said again, her voice shaking. But I had to work, and Lily had to be safe. I promise it won't happen again. If you want to deduct it from my pay, fine. If you want to fire me, I understand. Just don't fight with her. She just She just smiled. The cook, standing in the doorway, gave a short, cruel laugh. She just smiled, he said. This isn't a daycare. Please! Emily turned her face away, humiliated. And I don't talk like that in front of my daughter. Lily, as if oblivious to the storm of adults, stretched her small arm toward William. A yellow ring slipped from the toy and rolled onto his shoe. It fell, she said softly. Can you help me? William bent down slowly, picked up the ring, and without thinking, fitted it into the holder. His fingers trembled when they heard the click. For a moment, his expression softened. There, he murmured. Thank you! Lily smiled with all her cheeks. The runner whispered again, Oh my God, is he helping? That's new. He'll explode later, just you wait. The housekeeper tried to regain control. Mr. Harris, allow me to show the employee out. It's proper conduct. I didn't give that order, William replied, not looking at her. Not yet. Emily felt her face burn. She wanted to shrink and disappear. I know who you are. I know your reputation. I just ask a little understanding today. It wasn't out of disrespect. It was necessity. William twisted the ring on his finger, an involuntary habit that betrayed nervousness. In his eyes, something indecipherable. Memory, perhaps. A sound stuck in his throat that wouldn't become words. Understanding, he repeated, as if trying out a forgotten language. Lily gently tugged at the hem of his suit. Sir, you look sad. The comment fell to the floor like a broken glass. Emily's eyes widened. Lily, don't say that. But he looks like, she insisted, honest, as only children can be. No one breathed for a second. William looked away to the window. The trees in the garden swayed, and behind the glass he saw himself reflected. Perfect suit, erect posture, tired eyes. The echo of that sentence hit his chest and lingered. Mrs. Collins, he said finally. Yes, sir? Get the staff back to work. The kitchen is not a performance hall. But, sir, now. His firm, controlled tone left no room for reply. The whispers faded into the air. Footsteps receded. Still, the wound of humiliation throbbed on Emily's face. She bent down to Lily's level. We're leaving. Okay, she whispered, her voice breaking. Mummy will figure it out. But I promise to be quiet. Lily wilted, clutching the toy tightly. When Emily stood, William looked her straight in the eye for the first time that day. You should have told me, he said, not harshly, but seriously. There are protocols. I know, he replied, his eyes shining. I messed up, and I can accept the consequences. Just don't yell at her. She's had, his voice trailed off, a hard day. And today, I had no choice. Silence. The refrigerator emitted a low hum. The wall clock ticked almost arrogantly. Lily leaned the toy against the counter and began spinning one of the rings absently, as if trying to draw a sun in the air. William took a deep breath, his chest rising slowly. You're not fired, he said finally. Emily blinked, uncomprehending. No, not today. He paused. But that won't happen again. Tomorrow, Mrs. Collins will give you a procedure for contingencies. Yes, sir. The words came out in a whisper. Thank you. The housekeeper at the door frowned in annoyance. Mr. Harris, are you sure? I am, she interrupted calmly. Lily held up the ring toy as if offering a treasure. Here, she said simply. You can keep it for a little while. Lily. Emily approached, distressed. It doesn't bother you. William looked at the toy, then back at the girl. It took him a second longer than it should have to answer. Why? He asked, almost in a whisper. Because you look sad, she said, in the way children say things adults hide. The phrase pierced the air and hit William where he'd been most guarded. Time suddenly seemed to open a hole, and he fell into memory. The smell of strawberry shampoo, A room with star stickers on the ceiling, a small giggle running down the hallway, a similar toy, colourful rings, tiny hands trying to fit the yellow one into place. "Daddy, help!" He remembers laughing, saying, "You can do it!" And then the image shatters. A hospital, a late-night phone call. The world silent after a scream no one heard. The gift returned, as if tugging at someone's collar. William blinks, swallows hard. His fingers search for the ring and find no rest. Emily watches, unsure of what's happening, only that something has changed in his eyes. No hardness there, just a sea threatening to overflow. William tries to speak, but his voice falters. "I'm not good with toys." Lily tilts her head curiously. "Why?" "Because sometimes they hurt." He looks at his hand as if surprised by that answer. The girl takes a step closer, close enough for the light scent of baby soap to reach him. "When it hurts, we breathe," she demonstrates, taking a deep breath, inflating her little belly. "Like this, my mother taught me." Emily almost intervenes, but stops. The scene is too delicate to be interrupted. William obeys. He breathes in slowly. His chest rises. He exhales, as if letting go of a suitcase he's been carrying for years. The kitchen light seems less cold, as if someone had opened the curtain a finger wider. "Is it better?" Lily asks, with a sincere concern that dismantles any armor. He thinks he can't find the right words. "A little," he admits. Lily brings the toy to the counter. She takes off the yellow ring and offers it to him. "This is the sun. Always put the sun on top, okay?" William holds the ring delicately, like someone holding glass. The yellow reflects off his knuckles. He places the piece on the stand, and before snapping it into place, pauses. "The sun on top," he repeats, looking at the child. It makes sense. Emily breathes shakily. "Mr. Harris, we're going now. I didn't mean to disrespect you." He looks at her. His gaze doesn't hurt. "I know," he answers simply. Lily senses her mother's embarrassment, so she turns to William and makes the gesture children make when they want to seal a pact. She raises her little hand, asking for a high five. "If you ever get sad again, breathe and remember the sun above." William hesitates for a second, then touches his fingers to hers. The high five is light, almost a shock of tenderness. The knot that had been trapped in her chest, hard as stone, gives a silent crack and begins to unravel. "What's your name?" he asks, his voice lower than usual. "Lily. And you, William. Is that a prince's name?" A corner of his mouth twitches. It's not quite a smile, but it's the first real crack in the wall. "I don't know. It is for me," she concludes, satisfied, and pushes the toy closer to him as if confiding a secret. Emily puts her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Thank you, Lily. We've already disturbed the young man enough." "Thank you, young prince." Lily laughs. "And remember the sun." William returns the yellow ring, but his hand doesn't let go immediately. He allows himself another second to gaze at the simple gleam of that plastic piece. When he finally lets go, it feels like something else goes with it, a small part of the weight he's been carrying on his shoulders since before. "Mr. Harris," Emily says, her voice firm, as if she needs to maintain her dignity. "Thank you for not firing me. I didn't say I wouldn't fire you." Her old hardness tries to return reflexively. She lowers her gaze, prepared for the blow. "And I said I wouldn't fire you today," she finishes, but her tone is different, less sharp, and he searches for words, stumbling with honesty, "and that we'll arrange a procedure, so you don't have to choose between working and taking care of your daughter." Emily looks up, surprised. "Thank you, really. Don't thank me yet." He takes another breath, remembering the girl's advice. "Just come back tomorrow on time." Lily presses her lips together, thinking hard. "I have class tomorrow, But if he gets sad, remind him to breathe. Okay, Mom. I remember, my love. Emily smiles, tears welling in her eyes. William makes to leave, but says 2 words back. Lily, hi, thank you. He holds her gaze, without looking away. By the sun. As they leave, Emily holds her daughter's hand. The hallway seems shorter, the house less cold. Outside, the garden receives a warm breeze. William remains alone for a moment longer in the kitchen, standing before the toy. He touches his jacket pocket, where his fingers habitually search for a non-existent amulet. Instead, he finds his breath and follows it, as if it were a trail back home within himself. For the first time in years, something moves inside. Small, real, a knot unravels. The next day, Emily arrived early. The Boston sky was clear, but inside it was raining. She waited for the housekeeper to finish her to-do list. And before leaving, she asked gently, Mrs. Collins, could I speak with Mr. Harris for a minute? The housekeeper studied her face. There was something urgent there. I'll see if he has 5 minutes. William appeared in the library, his jacket still draped over his arm. Hurry up, Parker. Emily clasped her hands together to steady her voice. Yesterday, I left out something important. I brought Lily because I had no one to leave her with, but it wasn't just because of school break. He frowned impatiently. Go on. Lily has a rare disease. The treatment is expensive and... The words trailed off. And urgent. I'm doing everything I can. I'm working with her, seeing what happens. But sometimes things get out of hand. I was wrong to sneak her in. I just didn't want to lose my job. Silence. The ticking of the grandfather clock became a drum. William took a deep breath, his eyes still fixed on hers. What's her name again? Lily. And what does she like to do? The simple question broke Emily's insides. Drawing suns and making up names for birds. She says every bird has a name. William nodded slowly, his gaze drifting off into the distance. I see. Will you fire me? The sentence slipped out before she could stop it. It took him a second to answer. No. No? I'm not firing her, he stated firmly. Starting today, if she needs to, Lily can spend some afternoons in the garden, with supervision. No noise in the main wing. And you let me know in advance. Emily brought her hand to her mouth, her eyes welling up. Thank you, sir. I promise to follow every rule. That afternoon, Lily arrived shyly, clutching a blue-covered notebook. The housekeeper, stiff but obedient to orders, led the way to the garden. William watched from afar through the music room window. The girl ran across the grass, stopped in front of the daisies, and pressed her ear against them as if trying to hear the plant's secret. What are their names? William asked, approaching slowly. Lily looked up. That's Daisy Daisy, and that one over there is Daisy Beth. She pointed seriously. They're sisters, he chuckled. Right, and that little bird... That's Mr. Thomas. He's important because he sings in the morning. Important because he sings, he repeated, as if writing down a lesson. Over the next few days, the routine seemed to acquire a new rhythm. William would finish his meetings, and when the clock struck 4 in the afternoon, he would go down to the garden. Emily would watch from afar, rinsing glasses in the kitchen with the window open to hear their laughter. Lily would invent games. William, awkward at first, would eventually accept her rules. Now you're the castle guard and I'm the guardian of the sun, Lily said, holding a twig. What does the guard do? He looks serious, but he lets people in if they're good. I see. William straightened his shoulders theatrically. Only good people get in. There were moments of beautiful silence. A swing creaked for the first time in years. Lily pushed, her sneakers hitting the ground hard. William stood nearby, attentive, as if the world had shrunk to that rectangle of grass. Between one push and the next, memories returned like the scent of rain. A small birthday party, yellow candles, a voice calling "Daddy" in the distance. The images hurt, but now they hurt softly, like a scar that no longer controls the body. You think too much, young prince. Lily commented, still rocking. Me and you talk too much, he replied, almost smiling. It's so it doesn't hurt. Does it work? Sometimes. When it doesn't work, I breathe. The sun above. That's it. Emily, watching from afar, felt a mixture of fear and gratitude. She approached at intervals. Lily, water. Okay, Mom. The girl ran and drank, leaving a mustache of sweat and laughter. Thank you, Mr. Harris, Emily said sincerely, as she dried the bottle. But the garden has been silent for too long, he replied, without looking directly at her. The afternoons repeated themselves 2, 3, 4 times. The mansion's sound began to change, less echo of footsteps, more rustling of leaves, until the rainy Monday arrived. The sky dawned heavy, leaden grey. William left his room and noticed the house was quieter than usual. In the kitchen, there was no trace of children's drawings on the side table. In the window, no small shadows scurrying across the grass. He checked his watch. 9:15. Emily was always there early. He called the housekeeper. Has Parker arrived? No, sir. She didn't tell me anything. Is she late? Never. A cold uneasiness crept into his stomach. William tried to ignore it, diving into his emails. 10:07, 11:03. He stood. He grabbed his cell phone, looked for the contact. There was none. He turned to the housekeeper. A address. From the archive. Do you want me to call? I'll go myself. The rain pattered on the leaves like impatient fingers. The black SUV slid through Dorchester through puddles. William stared out the window at the street, each stoplight an intolerable delay. When the car stopped, he got out without an umbrella. He ran up 2 flights of stairs. He knocked on door 3B. Nothing. He knocked again. A neighbor opened the next door, her hair tied in a hasty bun. Are you looking for Emily? Yes. She left early, crying. The girl had been sick in the early hours of the morning. A man from the building took them both to the hospital. Which hospital? The closest one. St. Mary's, 2 blocks away. William thanked him with a curt nod and was already back on the stairs when the neighbor added, Take a coat, sir. It's cold. He didn't even hear her. He ran down the wet sidewalk, his suit darkening in the rain. He got into the car. St. Mary now. The driver sped off without asking. On the way, William clutched the ring so tightly it hurt. His mind, without asking permission, brought up a white hallway, a small hand, an insistent beeping. He pushed the memory away like closing a window in a storm. Stay with me, he murmured, unaware he was speaking aloud. Stay with her. The hospital facade loomed like a pale beacon. William jumped out, crossing the reception area, soaked. Pediatric emergency room, he said directly. Corridor to the right, the attendant replied, looking up at the drenched man in the suit. In the hallway, he saw Emily huddled in a chair, hands clasped together, her hair plastered to her forehead. She jumped up when she saw him. Mr. Harris. He stopped in front of her, gasping for air. What happened? Emily's eyes were red, her voice cracking. But they won't release it, he murmured, his voice broken. They said you need bail. I don't have that kind of money. The attendant maintained her bureaucratic tone. Without financial guarantee, the surgery can't be scheduled. We can try a state plan, but it takes time. Time? Emily clutched the form to her chest. My daughter doesn't have time. William arrived wet, his hair plastered to the ground, his suit dark with rain. Where is she? Pediatric ward. Room 4, the attendant pointed. But, sir, the girl needs surgery. We can't. Emily grabbed his arm, almost begging for forgiveness for existing. They'll wait. I can't. Her voice broke. I can't pay. William stared at the attendant. His face was firm, his gaze direct. How much is the deposit? Sir, it's a complex procedure. The costs... How much? He repeated dryly. The woman typed quickly, swallowing hard as she saw the screen. The initial package is... She rattled off the number, plus fees and materials. Emily closed her eyes, as if the sound were a stone. William didn't blink. I'll cover it, she said, and each word seemed to push against the invisible wall of the hallway. "Do the surgery now." The attendant's eyes widened. "We need an ID and a signature." "You'll have it." He was already taking out his wallet. "Charge it under my name, William Harris." She swallowed. The last name carried weight. "Sir, we need the legal guardian to authorize it as well." William turned to Emily, more gently. "Emily, authorize it now. But we'll sort out the rest later. Lily first." Emily held the pen with a trembling hand. "I'm scared." "Me too." William spoke the simple truth. "But we sign with fear." The pen scratched the paper. The attendant took the documents and called on the internal phone. "Authorization granted for room 2, pediatric surgery, priority." The doctor appeared, his lab coat slightly wrinkled, his expression focused. "Lily's mother? I'm Dr. Ortega. We need to take her now. Her condition is delicate, but the team is ready." Emily grabbed the sleeve of his lab coat. "Will you take care of her?" "As if she were mine," she replied firmly. 2 nurses passed by with the stretcher. Lily, pale, was breathing with oxygen, her eyes half closed. Seeing her mother, she struggled and wiggled her fingers. "Mom? I'm here, my sunshine." Emily rested her forehead against hers. "The young prince is here too, see?" Lily waved her hand weakly toward William. He leaned in, his voice low. "Remember the sun overhead, Lily. I'll remember it too." The stretcher began to move. Emily took 2 steps and stopped, overcome with panic. What if I don't?" William took her hands. It wasn't a bossy gesture. It was human. The surgery doors closed with a thump that vibrated in Emily's chest. The hallway felt too big. The clock ticked away like a hammer. She paced back and forth, hands in her hair, her breath shallow. "What if she's in pain?" she asked into the air. "What if something goes wrong?" The nurse tried to calm her down. "We'll take good care of her, Mom. The staff is great, but she's only 6. Emily clutched the small rosary she carried in her pocket, inherited from her grandmother. "She's afraid of the cold." William couldn't sit still. His suit, still damp from the rain, clung to his shirt. He stared at the red light above the door. In procedure, as if he could change it with the force of his gaze. Suddenly, the hallway lights flickered for a second. The storm outside roared like a warning. The generator kicked in, the light returned, but Emily's heart had already dropped. "Oh my God," she murmured, sitting up abruptly. "I can't lose my little girl." William closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Lily's advice echoed in the back of his mind. Breathe. The sun above. But his chest felt heavy. He looked around, searching for a place where the weight would fit. At the end of the hallway, he saw a door with a simple stained glass window. Chapel. "I'll be right back," he said, his voice almost hoarse. "Where are you going?" Emily instinctively grabbed his arm. "To talk to someone who can do more than me," she replied, without harshness. The chapel was small, smelling of old wood and unlit candles. The stained glass window showed a yellow sun behind a hill, a detail that both pained and comforted. William walked to the first pew, knelt, and their hands trembled as they met. "God," he began hoarsely, "it's been a long time since I spoke to you. I'm no good at this. I lost my daughter. I lost my family. And I never understood why." The silence responded like an empty embrace. He swallowed, insisted, "I can't negotiate with heaven. I only know how to promise what I can keep. If you let Lily stay." His voice broke. "I promise I won't run away anymore. I'll take care of her. I'll be there. Don't take her too. Please, don't take the only child who gave me peace." The word peace echoed off the woodwork. He lowered his head. For the first time in years, he wept openly. In the waiting room, Emily clutched her rosary until her fingers ached. A resident hurried out with a clipboard. "Lily Parker's mother." "It's me!" Emily jumped to her feet. "What happened?" "We need an additional signature. The bleeding is heavier than we expected, and the team wants authorization to use blood products and a specific material not in the package." "Use it all," Emily said without thinking. "Whatever it takes." "Sign here and here?" The resident held out the clipboard. She held out the pen. Her hand was shaking terribly. I'm afraid I'll do something wrong. The wrong thing is not authorizing it, the resident said gently. We're rushing. Emily took a breath and firmed her handwriting. She signed. As the resident turned his back, the hallway lights flickered again. The storm roared. William returned from the chapel, his eyes red, but his face more serene. He saw Emily standing alone, her shoulders tense. What is it? Bleeding. They need more. She held up the sheet of paper. I gave permission. Brave, he said, in a tone she recognized and respected. A woman in a headscarf, waiting for a grandson, approached slowly. Miss, can I pray with you? Emily nodded. Yes, they held hands. William, hesitant, stood a step back. Then Emily held out her free hand to him as well. Stay, he stayed. His hand in hers felt out of place and perfectly right. Father in heaven, the woman began simply. Visit Lily now. Give wisdom to the doctors, steadiness to their hands, calm to this mother and this man. We don't understand everything, but we trust in you. Amen. Amen, Emily whispered. William opened his mouth, didn't say Amen, but inclined his head, his way of yielding. The minutes stretched on. Emily tried to sit up, then stood up straight away. She walked 3 steps, then back 2. I don't know what to do with my body when it hurts inside, she confessed, with a crooked, desperate smile. Then let it hurt here. William pointed to the bench next to her. And let me hold the pain for a while. No need. I need to, he replied honestly. She sat down. He stood beside her. They didn't say anything for a while, just listening to the storm pounding against the windows and the clock building mountains with seconds. The side door burst open. A nurse emerged with a supply of blood bags and supplies. Another doctor followed, his face tense. We need to confirm something in the chart. Does Lily have a documented allergy to any medications? Emily's eyes widened. Yes, amoxicillin. It's on the card. I gave it to triage. It's here, thank you. He hurried back. Emily closed her eyes, relieved and terrified. It would be a shame if... She didn't finish her sentence. Don't talk, William said firmly, almost begging himself. We just breathe. The sun above, Emily repeated, and for the first time she smiled slightly amidst her fear. The guilt virus wanted to bite William again. If you had been a better man, maybe... He nipped the thought in the bud. Emily. Hello. Later. He swallowed. You don't have to sneak Lily out when you need her. Not to my house. We'll do it the right way. She stared at him, surprised. Thank you. It's not a favor. It's the least of it. A long beep came from far away, then resumed its rhythm. Emily placed her hand on her chest. I thought my heart was going to stop. Me too. He exhaled. The clock changed minutes. The runners seemed to hold their breath along with them. The lady with the handkerchief handed them a small glass of water. Keep going, my children. Thank you, Emily said. William just nodded. Inside the chapel, a light remained burning. In the stained glass window, the yellow sun seemed to light up on its own with each flash of lightning. William stared at it as if recognizing a sign, even if he didn't understand it. Emily clutched the rosary in her pocket, as if holding her daughter's hand from a distance. Hours passed. Emily rested her head on his shoulder, overcome with exhaustion. William didn't pull away. He remained still, as if wanting to be her safe place for a moment. The clock ticked, and the storm outside began to ease. Suddenly, the door to the surgical ward opened. Dr. Ortega came out, his mask hanging around his neck, his eyes streaming with sweat and exhaustion. Emily jumped to her feet, her legs shaking. Doctor, the doctor took a deep breath, and then smiled. The surgery was a success. The words echoed like music. Emily brought her hands to her face, sobbing, "Thank God, thank God!" She fell to her knees, crying with relief. William closed his eyes and took a deep breath, as if he could finally fill his lungs after years of suffocation. An invisible weight fell from his chest. "Will she recover?" he asked, his voice still cracking. "Yes." The response was good. "We managed to control the bleeding. Now she needs rest and monitoring, but the worst part is over." Emily stood up, trembling, and hugged the doctor as if embracing a miracle itself. Then she turned to William, her eyes still wet. "If it weren't for you, she wouldn't be here," he shook his head. "If it weren't for you, she wouldn't have fought so hard." Emily took his hands again. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to." William looked away, but for once there was no coldness. She gave me back something I thought I'd lost." They carried Lily to the room, still with the pale bandage on her chest and a hospital teddy bear clinging to her arm. The monitor beeped softly, almost like an electronic lullaby. The storm outside had turned to drizzle. The fogged window revealed only a patch of grey sky. Emily entered first. She stopped in the doorway, her hands on her mouth, her eyes welling up. She took one step, then another, to the edge of the bed. "Sunshine," she whispered. "You win." She knelt, resting her forehead on the sheet. It was pure gratitude, a silent, shameless cry that washed away everything, the fear, the guilt, the exhaustion. "Thank you, God. Thank you," she repeated, as if lighting invisible candles. William stood nearby, jacket off, his shirt still damp from the rain. He watched the girl's chest rise and fall slowly. He reached out, hesitated for a moment, and then lightly touched her fingers. "Hey, guardian of the sun," he said softly. "And the castle guard is here." Lily didn't wake, but she moved her hand as if she recognized the voice. William squeezed it gently, and something inside him that had been stone for years turned to water. "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Harris," Emily said, lifting her face, red from crying and beautiful with hope. "Don't call me sir," he asked simply. "Not here, just William here." Emily smiled small. "Thank you, William." "Doctor." Ortega came in, checked the monitor and wrote something on the clipboard. "Good signs. She's stable." He looked at Emily. "You can talk to her, even if she's sleeping. Children listen through their hearts." "And can I stay?" William asked. "We both can." The doctor smiled. "Today you're a bedside family." The doctor left. A beautiful silence fell in the room, the kind that no longer hurts. Emily sat in the armchair and pulled the thin blanket up to Lily's belly. William arranged the teddy bear near her arm, aligning the tag like someone arranging a medal. "I lived in fear for so long," Emily confessed, looking at her daughter. "Afraid of running out of medicine, of running out of money, of running out of strength. I slept with my shoes on, afraid of the phone ringing in the middle of the night. I lived in fear too," William said, staring at the window, "but in the wrong way. Afraid of feeling, afraid of remembering, afraid of losing again. I thought that if I closed all the doors, nothing would reach me. And it did, even more so." He took a deep breath. "Because I was trapped with myself." Emily nodded, understanding. "Fear lies. It lies." He looked at Lily, then at Emily. "Today I realize that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about staying even when you're afraid." The girl moved her head, as if trying to find a warmer spot on the pillow. Emily placed her hand on her hair, gently smoothing it. "Lily, my love, Mommy's here, and William too." William pulled the chair closer and leaned down until he was at the girl's level. He spoke as if making a pact. "I will care for you as if you were my own," he said firmly, simply, truthfully. "Always with respect for your mother. Always the right way, no empty promises, with presence." Emily turned her head, surprised by the clarity. "Are you sure?" "I am." He stared at his own fingers intertwined with hers. "I can't change what I've lost, but I can choose what I protect from now on." The monitor followed the serene beep. A timid ray of light pierced the cloud and grazed the blanket, leaving a barely perceptible yellow glow. Emily pointed, laughing through her tears. "Look, The sun overhead. William laughed too, briefly, like someone relearning. The sun above, he repeated. The lady with the handkerchief, who had been praying in the hallway, appeared at the door, careful. "May I?" "Of course," Emily replied. "I brought this." She handed him a piece of paper with a child's drawing on it, a garden, a crooked castle, and a huge sun. "The little girl in another room asked me to give it to the girl with the yellow ribbon. She said it's for decoration." Emily put her hand to her chest. "Thank you." The lady smiled at William. "The castle guard doesn't watch alone, you see. I'm learning," he replied humbly. When the lady left, Emily taped the drawing to the wall next to the bed. The sun, clumsy and large, seemed to take over the room. Lily took a deep breath, as if she'd sensed it. "When she wakes up," Emily said, adjusting the blanket, "I'll tell her the world looked different today." "It did," William agreed. "Inside us, at least." He stood again, took the girl's hand in both, and closed his eyes for a moment. It wasn't a rehearsed prayer, it was raw gratitude. Then he turned to Emily. "Starting tomorrow, I'll organize everything with the hospital. Monitoring, medication, transportation. And the mansion," he swallowed, "will no longer be just a place of silence. There will be space for drawings stuck on the fridge." Emily laughed in relief. "Mrs. Collins will freak out. She gets used to it." William blinked lightly. The clock struck a new hour. In the hallway, a cart creaked past. Someone laughed in the distance, and life, which had turned its back on them, seemed to turn its face toward them again. William placed his hand on Emily's shoulder. "You're not alone anymore, and neither are you," she replied firmly. The two sat side by side, not like boss and maid, but like people who, after battling ghosts for so long, had finally found a piece of peace and decided to keep it together. Weeks later, Weston's garden was no longer the same. The creaky swing set sang again, and a yellow ribbon ran across the lawn. Lily, in new sneakers, laughed so loudly that the birds seemed to respond. "Udu louder, castle guard," she shouted to William, who was pushing the swing with surgical care. "Order of the Guardian of the Sun," he replied, faking a guard voice. "Louder, safely. Safety is important." Lily made a serious face, then burst out laughing. Emily, on the porch, dried her hands on her apron, not her old one, but a new one with deep pockets and discreetly embroidered initials. The housekeeper, Mrs. Collins, still straight as a ruler, appeared with a tray of lemonade and cookies. "Mrs. Parker, I mean Emily," Collins corrected himself with a smile that seemed newly learned. "You asked for it, without much sugar." "Thank you, Mrs. Collins." Emily smiled back. "Would you like to sit for a bit?" The housekeeper glanced at her watch, then at the scene in the garden, and gave an inch. 5 minutes. "I can watch happiness work." Inside the house, the walls had changed too. On the steel refrigerator, which had previously reflected emptiness, there were now drawings stuck with magnets, a crooked castle, 8 enormous suns, and a William spelled with a backwards N. Above the closed piano was a framed photograph. Emily and Lily in the garden, and in the background, out of focus, William pushing the swing, captured in a half-hearted giggle he denied when he saw the photo. "I don't laugh like that," he protested at the time. "Yes, I do," Lily decreed. "It's your sunny laugh." That morning the mansion was filled with guests, a few hospital staff, 2 local journalists, a keen-eyed photographer, and 3 mothers with children in their arms. In the foyer, a simple banner read, "Clara Harris Fund, in memory of William's daughter, to fund pediatric care for underprivileged children." "Thank you for coming," William began, standing in front of the discreet microphone resting on a stand. Suitless, in a white shirt with rolled-up sleeves, he seemed less distant from the world. "I spent years thinking silence was protection. I discovered that silence can also hurt those who need us. Today, in my daughter's name, And because of a girl who gave me back my path, we are creating the Clara Harris Fund. He took a breath, not looking at the paper. We're starting this month. The fund will cover surgeries, medications, transportation, and psychological counseling for families who can't afford them. And, he looked at Emily and Lily, we'll have a council with people from the hospital and from real life. Emily agreed to be a part of it. The photographer captured the moment Emily put her hand to her chest, surprised and proud. Me, she murmured, blushing. You, William confirmed. Without you, this wouldn't exist. A mother in the audience raised her hand shyly. Sir, I mean, William, why, Clara? He smiled in his new way, the way his eyes softened. Because it was my daughter's name, and because Clara also means light. And that's what we want to be here. A little light. The small ceremony was simple and beautiful. Lily, in a floral dress, was responsible for cutting the yellow ribbon, her idea, approved by everyone. It's open now, she announced importantly. Later, the house returned to the rhythm of pleasant afternoons. In the office, Emily finished signing her new contract, permanent, with decent hours, insurance, and a transportation allowance that would finally stop her from dancing on the tightrope at the end of the month. Beside her signature, a note in elegant handwriting, "You're not invisible here. W. I never had that," Emily said, looking at the paper. "We always had," William replied, leaning against the doorframe. All that was missing was someone recognizing it. In the kitchen, Collins opened a drawer and revealed new labels. "I decided to standardize the cookie jars just the way Lily likes them," Pigou chimed in complicity. "Sun on top," she says. Emily laughed. "That became a house rule." "And a good one." Collins nodded. Late that afternoon, the three of them went to the hospital. Dr. Ortega was waiting for them in the pediatrics hallway, next to a new mural with photos of recovered children. Lily pointed to a boy in the photo wearing a blue cap. "Is he a guardian of the sun, too?" "We all are, in one way or another," the doctor replied. They visited two families. William said little, but listened as if he finally had time. Emily shared her experience from mother to mother. Home remedies that soothe, tricks for beating lines, the importance of asking 3 times if you don't understand. Lily handed out star stickers. A woman squeezed William's hand tightly. "May God bless you, my son." "He already blessed us today," William said, and looked fearlessly at the sky that appeared through the hallway window. On the way back, the car crossed Boston as the sun set. Lily fell asleep on the seat, her head resting on her mother's arm. Emily covered her with William's jacket. "Thank you for all this," she said softly. "Thank you," he returned. "You introduced me to someone I hadn't seen in a long time." "Who?" "Myself. A self who still knew how to care." At the gate, Lily woke to the sound of the intercom. She yawned widely. "Are we there?" "We're here, my love." Emily kissed her forehead. "Tomorrow you can run more in the garden." "Tomorrow I'll teach Collins how to draw the sun," Lily said confidently. "She'll love it." William smiled. Before entering, he stopped in front of the daisy bed. The scent of damp earth from the early evening wafted softly up. "Clara," he said painlessly, "thank you for letting the light in again." That night, after Lily slept in the guest room, now with discreet star stickers on the ceiling, and Emily finished the day reviewing the fund's schedule, William was alone in the library. He picked up the antique frame from the nightstand, the photo that had been face down for years, and calmly placed it upright on the shelf. Beside it, he propped up Lily's drawing of a crooked sun. "Two lights," he whispered, almost laughing at the simplicity of the phrase. When he turned out the lights, the house no longer grew dark. It grew soft. He closed the door, crossed the hallway, and the oldest memory, the one that hurt, finally fell into place. Part of who he was, no longer a prison. On his face, a smile that wasn't a pose for a photograph or a mask for anyone. It was his. "Good night, William," Emily said, passing through the hallway quietly so as not to wake her daughter. "Good night, Emily," he replied. "See you tomorrow." And there was truth in that tomorrow. There was continuity. There was a promise of care. There was peace, not the kind that comes from harsh silence, but the kind that arises from encounter. End of story.